Am I the idiot for embarrassing my father by offering to stop telling my children that I love them? I call my kids boy, 15, and girl, 16. I love The Simpsons, and I always thought it was funny that Homer referred to Bart as boy and Bart called him Homer. With my father, everything was yes or no, sir. I also constantly tell my kids that I love them and am proud of them. For some reason, the name thing puts a wild hair up my dad's ass. He was over last weekend and he was vociferous about how I'm hurting his grandchildren by not calling them by their names. I told him that my kids were happy and to leave it alone. He just wouldn't drop it. So I called my kids over to where we were talking and I asked them if they wanted to be called by their names instead of boy and girl. I said in return they would have to call me sir, not daddy or dad. I said I would accept father in emotional conversations, but that I would no longer remind them every day that I loved them and was proud of them. They both were happy with the status quo. They know what my relationship with my father is like. My father got all pissed off and said that's not what he wanted at all. So I asked him how often he told my sisters and I he loved us or was proud of our accomplishments, or just as people. He said it was a different time. That his father was worse than him. So I asked him if he thought my kids were happier than myself and my sisters were growing up. I pointed out that my kids are happy. They are reasonably well adjusted. Now he is being pissy and my mom says he is upset that I think he was a bad father. He wasn't. He was just emotionally distant. I hated it. My sisters both had some therapy to help them choose better men. They both fell in love with any guy who gave them attention. My daughter knows her worth and won't settle for anything but the best. My son has no problem hugging me and telling me or his mom about his life. They are teens. I know I don't know everything going on with them. But I'm doing my best to be there and give them the support I never had. My kids know they are loved. I don't just say it. I try my best to show it. My dad thinks I'm being an idiot for pointing out where he didn't do great as a father when he tried to criticize my parenting. You're totally not the idiot for that interaction with your father. Where you might be in dicey territory is the parenting choice of using your children as props, and threatening, even in jest, to withhold affection. It sounds like you have a healthy parental bond, and your kids are old enough and know you weren't serious. But if they had any ambiguity about that, then you'd be an AH for causing it just to illustrate a point to your father. Everyone sucks here. The whole comment about you calling them by their names means they have to call you sir instead of dad. Sorry, but no. If your kids are generally happy with what you call them, then fine. But to expect to be called sir? Hell no. You are their dad, they can call you dad. You dad sounds like an arise no matter what. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for confronting my husband about his sudden changes around the house? I, female 40, have a habit of taking my 2 kids, 8F, and male 10, to visit my family in a suburban area close to the city we live in during the 1-week break they get at the end of their first semester each year at school. We've been doing that for as long as I can remember. This all started 3 years ago when my kids and I came back from my families. My husband insisted he had a surprise for me and that I would absolutely love it. Once I entered our living room, I discovered he had painted the walls a hideous shade of pink, almost peach but still mildly striking. I hated it. For context, we own a house far away from the city center to which we go to during weekend and in which I gave him full liberty to do his arts and crafts considering how much he loves doing these things. The apartment I came back to, though, is closer to our jobs and the children's schools, so we stay there during the week. I acted as if I liked the change and that it's refreshing to the living room that I had previously decorated in muted and monochromatic colors, but that these kinds of decisions should have been discussed prior. He agreed and we moved on. The next year, however, while driving back home from my parents, my husband called and informed me that he had yet another surprise for the kids and I, and that it involved our balcony. I loved our balcony, it was my safe place. I kept plants in there and spent all of my alone time in it, and so I was irritated at the thought of it changing without my knowledge. My husband decided to remove the demi-wall I hung my plants on and replaced it with a green metal grid and put plexiglass on the top area, so the balcony was completely closed now. He also disposed of all my plants that I've grown particularly fond of. I was livid to say the least, but kept it together in front of the kids and just went to bed since I was already tired. I figured I could just get new plants and not make a big deal out of this situation since my husband seemed happy about it. The next morning at breakfast, a silly argument started between us and my husband started stating all the things I do that he hates, and so I blew up and told him every single refreshment he'd done is hideous to me and that he has no taste in home decor and should stop believing he does. He got mad, stormed off, and is now giving me the silent treatment. Am I the AH for saying what was on my mind? Not the idiot. Why is nobody commenting on how malicious and controlling the husband's behavior is? He purposely destroyed her decorating in the living room and then threw out all her plants and closed in her favorite place in the house. He's trashing everything she likes. The husband is purposely doing this, and then when Opie objected, he had a list of complaints about her just ready to go. not the idiot. Painting is one thing, it can be painted over. Your husband definitely shouldn't have thrown away your plants. If he knows the balcony is your space, then yeah, he should have talked to you before he did anything. He should have talked to you about changes before he tried to do any. The house is owned by both of you, so I do believe a discussion should have happened before he did anything. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for not letting my friends stay over at my house when they travel to visit and refusing to pay for their hotel? I, female 25, have friends, a couple, that moved a while back to another state because of college, and decided to stay there even after graduating. We keep contact via texting and video calls, but we've never seen each other face to face since they moved. They decided to travel to the city I live in so we can spend time together. We had all chosen a lot of things to do in the 2 weeks they're supposed to spend here. The conflict is that I don't want them to stay at my apartment, like sleep there overnight, while they're here, but they don't have family or other friends in this state or close by that they can stay with, which means they'd have to pay for a hotel. A day ago, when they arrived, we were talking and I asked them which hotel they picked. They were confused and Anna, female 26, asked what I meant. They thought they were going to stay at my apartment with me. We hadn't discussed where they would stay before they came here, and I assumed they knew they were going to stay at a hotel since they have never stayed at my home like that, and they know I don't let anyone stay over like that. Not even my parents or my boyfriend. They said they thought I had changed my mind about these things, but I never said I had, they just assumed I did. I live in an apartment alone, and even though there isn't a guest room, I have my old mattress that I could put on the living room or on my hubby's room, or they could sleep on the couch. But I refuse to do so and to pay or help pay for the hotel. They're both very annoyed with me and think I'm being selfish, but James, male 25, is furious. He thinks I am being ridiculous. Anna accepted to pay, but James wants to either go back or make me let them stay in my apartment. They're staying at a hotel at the moment, and we didn't do what we planned to do yesterday. Anna texted me that she's trying to convince James to stay in the hotel, and maybe she will, but nonetheless they both think I should change my mind. The reason I don't want them, or anyone, to stay over is because it makes me very uncomfortable to have someone in my home while I am asleep or not there. I hate the idea of someone touching my things without my permission or seeing something I'd rather they not see, or even stealing something. And they know that, but thought I had become more lenient about it. I asked my parents and other friends what they think, and the general consensus is that it would be nice of me to let them stay, but since I am known to be quite neurotic between our friends and family, and it's not like I told them I changed my view nor implied they would stay, I wouldn't be in the wrong if I don't allow it. Everyone sucks here. I am amazed an adult would go on a 2-week trip without confirming arrangements. This is not something that should be assumed. That's nutty behavior indeed. But if you suspected that they might want to stay at yours, you should have asked the hotel before they arrived. I find it nearly improbable that you made all these plans and never had a clue they figured they would stay at yours. Everyone sucks here. Everyone involved made assumptions about a major aspect of this entire trip without talking about it. Yes, you're not obligated to let them stay with you, and they aren't entitled to stay there, but would it really be so bad to put a mattress down when you literally can to do a favor for your friends who traveled to see you? If so, then don't do it, but I don't think your friendship will be the same after this. Based on James, he might say this is the end of the friendship. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for refusing to pay my friend back after destroying his property in an accident? I recently got into a huge argument with my friend, and I'm not sure if I'm the idiot or not. Here's what happened. A few days ago, my friend invited me over to his place for a small gathering with a few other friends. We were having a great time, but things took a turn for the worse when I accidentally knocked over a valuable antique vase that belonged to my friend's family. It shattered into pieces, and I could tell it was something of great sentimental value to him. Now, here's where the conflict arises. I immediately apologized profusely and acknowledged my mistake. My friend was understandably upset and demanded that I reimburse him for the vase, which he estimated to be worth a substantial amount of money. While I do feel bad about what happened, I flat out refused to pay him anything. My reasoning behind this decision is that accidents happen, and I believe it's unfair for him to ask me to cover the entire cost of the vase. I argued that it was his responsibility to safeguard his valuable possessions, especially during a gathering where accidents are more likely to occur. I also mentioned that I couldn't afford to pay such a significant amount. Since then, our friendship has been strained, and some of our mutual friends are telling me that I'm being unreasonable and that I should take responsibility for my actions. They believe I should reimburse him fully or at least offer to contribute toward the cost of the vase. However, I still feel like I'm not in the wrong here. So, am I the idiot? I need your judgment. Am I the idiot for refusing to pay my friend back for the antique vase that I accidentally broke? Should I reconsider my stance and try to make amends? I'm open to hearing your perspectives on this situation. TL.Dr. Accidentally broke my friend's valuable antique vase during a gathering, but I refused to pay for it because I believe accidents happen and he should have taken better care of his belongings. Now our friendship is strained, and I'm wondering if I'm the idiot in this situation. Update. I forgot to mention the cost of the vase. A friend told me it is around $3K $4,000. Update 2. Lots of people are asking me for more details on where the vase was, how I knocked it over and such. Basically, the vase was on top of this very tall cupboard in the living room. We were all drinking, some drunker than others. I was just tipsy, and I was chatting with another friend next to the cupboard, and I wanted to kinda lean into it and stuff, but I sort of slipped and instead ended up straight up bumping into it. Afterwards the vase just falls and breaks. I had no idea it was up there or how much it was worth. Friend never mentioned it until it broke and my frick up happened. Huge update. Most of you suggested waiting a few days for both of us to cool down before I contact him. I failed to do that, and most of you said I should ask for proof of the value. So I did. I asked him to provide proof. He instead got really defensive and deflective, saying poop like, "You don't trust me? I am your best friend, and you ask for proof?" And anytime I would return to asking for proof, he would always just comment like that, never giving me a no or yes. So I let it go, and spoke to my brother. He suggested that truly the best way to find out if he is legit is to ask someone from his family, supposedly the people who this vase is really important to. And oh boy, oh freaking boy. I contacted his brother and said, "Hey, you know that vase your family passed to X?" His reply, "What? LMAO, what you on about?" So I told him what happened, about my accident, and that I know they really care about it, but does he know if the family ever insured the vase and how much it is truly worth? I have no idea what you are talking about. We don't have a vase. We don't even have any heirlooms, not our family's thing. Well, now I am kind of really pissed at my friend for trying to do that to me. No idea if it's actually an expensive vase. My friend is quite wealthy, so he could have gotten it for a big price. But considering he lied about it belonging to the family and having sentimental value to all of them, I highly doubt it. Update 4. I have taken all of your comments close to heart, and I realize that I am indeed a huge for flat out refusing to do a thing to fix the damage I did, and instead I shifted the blame on him. I am not a good friend at all, and thank you all for pointing that out, uneasy face. I am going to wait a little bit to let him cool down. In the meanwhile, I will check and find out where I could get a loan, and then when he is ready to talk and calm, I will do my best to pay back as best as I can. From his reaction it's clear that even if he did lie, that vase meant a lot to him. I will ask him about the lie. I am sure it's harmless, and then try to mend things. I don't want to lose a best friend over my selfishness and a fucking vase. You're the idiot, you broke it. Your friend shouldn't be out of pocket for your mistake. If the vase really was of significant value, then I would expect him to be claiming on his insurance for the cost and for you to be paying the excess/deductible and any other costs incurred. You messed up, you fix it. If you did this to me, I'd straight be done with you as a friend. You're the idiot. Accidents do happen, but the fact that it was an accident doesn't absolve you of trying to make amends. I may accidentally rear-end someone while driving. These are hardly ever intentional, but I'm still required to pay for the damages. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos.